Okay guys, Tony here again. Today, like I said, we are replacing a knuckle and a strut mount. So I've jacked the vehicle up, set the parking brake, and take off. You'll just start taking off your normal stuff. You'll have a Phillips, 2 Phillips right there on your road, that's keeping your rotor on. You'll have 2 19s for your caliper bracket, and you will have 2 17s for your caliper. Take those off, and it's good to get some caliper grease for the sliders while you have them out. You want to make sure they're moving properly. That means your brakes are releasing when you're not using them. I'll fix that in a minute. These 2 bolts are 15/16. Take those off. This is an 18 both on the front and on the back. 12 millimeter, or sorry, where are we at? Oh, it's the brake line. The brake line's 12 millimeter. That's another story, the shaft. This is 10 millimeter, and then you kind of just want to put a crescent or a pair of pliers on there and just really loosely spin that, break it free, and wiggle it out of here. I had messed up my hub. That's why I'm replacing the whole thing with a guaranteed good bearing and hub. This is an 18 or 19, 18 I think. You'll take that off. It's got a pin. That is a 19. You'll take that off after the pin. 36 millimeter for the shaft, laying over there. 36. So take that off. You want to take that off before you really take anything off, because you'll have your shaft pull out from over here. It won't pull out looking like that, but it'll pull out. You'll almost have to pull the whole thing out to get it back in there. And then while you're screwing with it, you have a chance of pinching it and putting a. It doesn't matter if it's a pinhole or any hole. You have a chance of pinching it, which will throw grease everywhere, and eventually you'll lose your joint. I think that's about it. In my case, I put a new boot on there because I had some issues going on, and I put a new boot on there and just didn't get this clamp right here tight, which I'll show you. This clamp, I didn't get it very tight, and it was throwing a little bit of grease, and I separated it completely to leave that in there, because your trans will leak a little bit. I mean, it'll leak quite a bit if you leave that out. That is what creates the seal, the shaft being in there. Alright, let's go over the strut. I do have a 2-inch lift. These are 265s. Here in the next few weeks, I'll show you me putting on my 20s. I have those up. I just recently moved, but those are 265s here. 265s. You want to stay away from the 10 ply because you don't need it. You don't need it on this thing, and you're just going to waste your gas mileage. I have that 2-inch lift, which I'll show you, and then I have trimmed both here and beat the hell out of it to get it to flatten out. I basically cut slits in it and then flattened it out, and then I have trimmed my mud flap just kind of straight down. You can't really tell when the tire's off, but I trimmed that. It more hits with the 20s than the 17s, because the 17s are perfect offset, and my 20s stick out way wider, so they hit a lot worse. So you don't necessarily have to do all this crap. It doesn't really hit, obviously you can see right here a little bit, but it doesn't really hit in the front at all. And then that rub mark, that is from the 20s. But otherwise it rides really good and handles good, and the bigger tires definitely compensates it. Try not to leave your caliper hanging, but if you have to, oh well. It's a pretty tough line. So here's a spacer, 2-inch spacer. They give you new hardware, and so your stock hardware will go on the, actually just depends on what brand you get. These are the same thread pattern, but sometimes you'll want to use stocker down here and the aftermarket ones they give you up here, because the thread pattern will be the same or different, but these are the same. So I use the ones they gave me. I put the stock, or put the new ones up top, and and the stocker ones down here. This strut mount was starting to make some noise, so I'm replacing it. I have a few pair of these because I used to do this crap professionally. But get some coil keepers, put them on there, make sure they're nice. You want to put them opposite to each other. I like these because it's got the double down below, not just the single, but you'll put one right here and then one down here directly across, and just go as you need, not more than you need, just until this loosens up here, this pad, and then you can rip. Of course you want to rip these off first, but you can rip this off and then you change it, take it out, put the new one in. No biggie. To get these off, they are a 14 millimeter. You'll pop your hood. 14, yeah. It'll zoom in on it. No, you don't need a $300 snap-on gun to do that. And you'll take those off. I do 2 of them and loosen the 3rd, and then I'll put my hand down here and hold it, and then hit it and bring it out and pop it out. Make sure you don't hit your boot. These are just little covers. Use a screwdriver or a pick or whatever. A cool nether note is you have right here for your hood rod and right here for your hood rod, and you also have another one down here. So I literally almost have my hood 90 degrees. It makes life so easy when you're working on it. I did get my compressor in, and I did get this in, my condenser, and I got that valve replaced, the expansion valve, and man, that thing blows super cool now. We're gonna get this replaced. Oh, another note, and mine's fucked up, but because it was seized in there the first time I tried to take it apart, so I had to rethread it. But use a punch, a sturdy punch or rod or something to hit it in the middle. It's got a little in groove right here, and make sure you hit it there, not just beating the hell out of it all over the head, because you'll wind up with this or worse. And all it does is hold it in there. Yeah, holy crap, but these things are expensive, and this is a replaced one that I've replaced before. That's why I ended up replacing the whole bearing, is because I had issues with this thing, and I don't know, maybe it heated up because the bearing went bad and it made my life a pain in the ass to get it out, or seized up, I don't know, but it would not come out. So if you're working on your cars, you know what frustration means, and that's what it turned into. Frustration. I started beating the shit out of it. I don't feel like spending $300 on that shaft, so I made it work. I rethreaded it the best I could. I had to beat it to get it in too. All this is messed up. But I not only had that happen, but I have bad studs, so I just got the whole thing. And the bearing is good. I got it off of eBay. Bearing's good. There we go. The bearing's good. The hub is good. It came with lug nuts. It came with even the rotor, but I'm not going to use it. And it came with a TPMS sensor, all for $100 bucks shipped. So that's pretty awesome. It showed up in 2 days. So, I mean, a new hub. And I went that route because one of these is, I don't know, $50, and then you got to think, well, while you're in there, why not replace the bearing? And then you're like, oh yeah, and then I'm going to do that myself too. So you're going to get the tool to do it, which is another $40. The bearing's another $50. And you know, and what else you need. No big deal. One thing I'll do while I have you on here is I will, give me just a second, I'll show you how to replace, wow, that worked real well. I'll show you how to replace this shaft. So these fall out, so make sure you're being careful. They go anywhere, no big deal, but they look the same both ways. I thought they went in a certain way, but and they might, and yeah, they're supposed to be a little loose. That's what creates it to be able to rotate. But so you take those out, you would pop that off. You'd pop the one off right here that's supposed to be there, which I didn't get very tight. And then there's a little, you can barely see it there. There's a C-clip, whatever you want to call it, right there. You'll pop that off and this whole joint will come off. And then you can slide your boot off and slide your new boot back on. Put that back on. It'll come with your new boot kit, which you can get at Napa for like 15 bucks. So if you do a lift kit and you're having problems, don't replace the $300 shafts. Just replace your boot. It's not hard. It'll come with this clip and maybe a couple others because it's kind of universal depending upon the year, make, and model. So you put the new clip on or not, whatever you want to do, and then it'll come with these new, which I used cutters, like wire cutters, but I didn't get a good clamp. I got a good clamp on this one, but I just didn't get it very good on that one. And then and it'll also come with your grease. 15 bucks at Napa. That's a good deal compared to a $300 shaft just because it's throwing a little grease. But you do want to get it fixed because if it throws grease long enough, like I said, it'll take out a joint and then you're going to be paying for a shaft. Another tip, do not get Napa shafts. Don't get any other off-brand of shafts. Get the OEM ones. There's not a specific specification for these when they're making these in an aftermarket field. So make sure you get your OEM ones. So make sure you take care of your OEM ones because OEM ones are very, very expensive. Very expensive. I have 200,000 miles on mine almost, so I put new shafts in when I put the lift in, and I put new struts in and all that stuff, and so I replaced everything, and frustration got me there over a noise in the front end, which ended up being a loose sway bar link because I did replace those as well. If you have any questions, comments, tips, anything else you want to see, let me know. I don't know, maybe we'll do oil change next, and maybe we'll add a trans flush as well. That way you guys know how to do that if you don't already. Like I said, any question or comments, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe so I can get some more videos going here, and you guys let me know if you need anything. Thanks.